the next thing I wanted to talk about outside of the admissions process is what happens when you actually get into OT school. We recently finished up our first year, and I just kind of wanted to talk about our experiences so far, what it was like first showing up to the program, how the first couple of semesters treated us. It's a big, big topic.
How much time do we have left?
Well, we've got enough time for the TLDR version. We can go into, and I will say, in future episodes, we can go into more detail about like classes, individual classes, and things like that. Let's kind of focus in a little bit and talk about orientation day. Let's start there and see where it goes.
I have secondhand anxiety.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I was so nervous.
Yeah.
But like so happy at the same time because I was just like, you know, I've mentioned before, like my sister's an OT, and so she just told me like, you are going to make some of the best friends of your life in OT school because that's what happened to her, and she loved it, and you know, those people that she met in her program are, you know, going to be in her life for the rest of her life. And so I kind of came into it thinking like, oh, like I'm going to meet so many great people. And I did. And so, but the first day, like when you walk in, you just don't.
At orientation.
Yeah, not at, at orientation. It's just like,
I don't think any of us really hung out.
One, it's tough to just suddenly be dumped in a box and say like, all right, these are the people you're going to be with for the next 2.5 years.
Yeah, and I think we should add on a disclaimer that the three of us are probably not the most extroverted people in our class.
We're really not.
And so once we found each other, like obviously we're people. Like we are people persons. Is that how you'd say people persons? Like we like people. We're people people. Yeah. We like to work with people, but we also kind of like to hang out in like smaller groups of people, more low key. And some of the people in our program are still very much into, you know, going out for drinks, like downtown. And yeah, I like to do that maybe once a month or something like that. But that's not really how I describe fun.
Yeah.
So
yeah, me too.
when I was like, when I found these two and a few others, like I just really felt at ease, like, and knew that even under the stress and all the tests and all the studying and papers, that we could find solace in hanging out with each other and just decompressing and talking about the topic. So although maybe that didn't happen on orientation day.
Well, yeah.
It's good to know now.
Yeah.
Again, it's not something that's going to happen just in a blink of an eye. It's really not. But I mean, really, you put it best. I remember like our whole class had kind of a group chat that we started off very early on. I think it was the first day.
Yeah.
And a lot of our classmates were like, "Oh, we're going downtown to party." I'm like, "Oh God, all right." But no, then
I talk about it now, like we all thought the same things, but since we hadn't, you know, actually talked to each other, of course, like we all kind of in that moment we kind of like felt alone, but now looking back on it, it's like
well, that's the thing.
We all felt the same way.
Well, exactly, and that's really it. Like over time, if you're patient, if you put yourself out there, you're going to find people with similar interests, and it's going to happen pretty organically in my experience. Like I know, like I remember when I just noticed in the group chat, you guys, like people were going out and you were like, "No, I'm sorry, it's D&D night." And I was like, "Really? Tell me more."
I think I found my people.
Exactly. Like it's just like at first it like because that's how I felt when I first showed up. I was like, oh man, I'm like, it's just gonna be me and a whole bunch of party animals. But like there are people sitting in the same room as you who are going through that same process.
Yeah.
Everyone's going in there nervous, and everyone's looking to make friends usually, and like everyone just wants to be accepted. And so if you go in just knowing like you're not alone, everyone's nervous, it's fine.
And like you went through, or like everybody there went through the same admissions process that you did.
Yeah.
Like something that our program drove home, and I think still holds true. Like you're sitting in that room, you earned your spot there. And remember that. I mean, if you're used to being a big fish in a little pond, I mean, I'd recommend getting used to being, among your peers and being comfortable with that, with operating on that level and working with people who are as dedicated and smart and, professional as you are. But yeah, just know that there's nothing that any of those people have that you can't match. You're each going to have different talents, but you deserve your spot there, and you can stand on your own 2 feet. Now, I would recommend, do find the people that you like with similar interests to you. Because I'm not going to say OT school is impossible to finish alone, but it's going to be a much better experience if you have friends in your corner who are going along the same path as you, and are going through the same challenges and taking the same classes. It's going to make your life a lot better.
Yeah. And that's something I also like that they emphasized at first, was that OT school is not a competition.
Yeah.
It's not like other programs like med school or law school. I hear a lot that those students kind of have a, like, we got to compete with each other. Who's going to make the highest grade? Like, obviously there are very type A people in our class that really care about, making A's and achieving.
Yeah.
But we still all, as a class, have a lot of study sessions together. And, like, it's really, I never really feel that overwhelming pressure, like, oh, I got to outperform. Like, we all lean on each other. And as someone that came from an honors program, and I went to a math and science boarding school where there's super competitive people, I will say that I was very comforted and surprised when I realized that people that go into OT are overwhelmingly very kind and love to help people.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if you decide to go into this profession, most of the time, it's a pretty good chance that you're going to be, someone very empathetic and someone that really wants to take care of people. And because that's the whole thing with occupational therapy that we always say is, that they really look into the person themselves, what they want to do, the occupations that are meaningful to them. And so it's really meant for people that are interested in health science and the medical profession, but are also very invested in the person themselves.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I talk to some of my friends sometimes who are PT students or who were PT students and are now practicing, who do talk about kind of that cutthroat environment, like who's going to be the best, who's going to make the top grade. And I don't know what it's like in other OT programs. I've only been to the one. I will say that was not the case for us, thankfully. Like, we're very cohesive for the most part. We all work together. I mean, there are going to be people that you butt heads with. That's just life. It is impossible to be liked by everyone.
Especially in a high stress environment.
Yeah, stress brings out the worst in people, and there are going to be times where you don't get along with somebody. Maybe for a long, long time, but really, in the end, everybody works through their stuff, and you can come through it as a team.
Yeah, and what's really fun for me is seeing already just everyone in our classes kind of specialties and what they're interested in, because that's what they also really emphasize on the first day orientation is look around. These people are going to be your resources in the future.
Oh, yeah.
So the person that's really good in Jerry or really good in pediatrics or with certain conditions, you have them in your phone and you can call them up and ask for advice.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really fun for me to kind of speculate where everyone's going to end up and just be like, ooh, I gotta save that person's number for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think you've really hit on what I consider to be one of the most important things when it comes to the difference between a program like this, where everyone is, cohesive and cooperates and works together, versus one of those cutthroat programs. When you actually get out into the working world, nobody cares if you're the best. Nobody cares how smart you are. Nobody cares what your grades were. At the end of the day, all that matters is your ability to work as part of a team, as, part of a unit.
Yeah.
And
Multidisciplinary team.
Yeah.
It's such a huge thing in hospitals because you do not want to be the person stepping on the nurse's toes or
The
Yeah.
diva, that like,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you're working in a rehab clinic,
Someone
if you're
with
working in a
attitude.
hospital,
Yeah.
like everybody's smart. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't set you apart at all.
Yeah.
And like when it comes to school, if you're coming out of a program, if you've graduated and you're about ready to hit the working world, having a pre-existing set of contacts, maybe like 20 to 30 people that you know from school who are all going into the same field as you, having that network set up ahead of time is such a big deal. It is going to help you immeasurably when it comes to getting jobs, when it comes to having resources to call on if you're working on a case and you feel stuck. Having that network is one of the most valuable things for any professional. And yeah, a program like this where everybody works together can really help you build that and really get a jump start on that. Because who you know matters. I mean, I don't want to treat it like the end all be all, but it's at least 50% of the equation. And it's going to make a big difference.